The slap came out of nowhere. For a second, no one moved. Shoppers froze. A woman near the perfume counter gasped. Someone's phone lifted to record. The young lady slowly turned her face back. She didn't shout. She didn't argue. She didn't even look angry. The mall manager smirked. "Escort her out," he said. Security stepped forward, and the young lady reached for her phone. Not to call the police. Not to defend herself. Just to send a message. One word. Then she looked back at the man who slapped her and said quietly, "You should have asked my name." In the world of American corporate power, respect is never optional. It is understood. And when it is violated, the consequences are rarely loud. They are precise. Tonight's story isn't about anger. It's about influence. If you enjoy intelligent crime thrillers where power moves in silence, subscribe and stay with me. Because some families don't argue in public. They correct in private. Now, let's return to the moment that started it all. Halcyon Crest Mall was built for power. Tall glass walls, bright white marble floors, stores filled with brands most people only saw online. Mia walked through the mall alone. She wore simple clothes, nothing loud, nothing flashy, but she carried herself with quiet confidence. She stopped at a luxury boutique and picked up a handbag. The cashier scanned it once. Then again. Her face changed. "This tag was switched," the cashier said loudly. Several people turned to look. Mia blinked. "There must be a mistake," she said calmly. The cashier shook her head. "Security." Within minutes, Grant Havorson arrived. He walked fast, like a man used to controlling. "What seems to be the problem?" he asked. The cashier explained. Grant did not ask Mia many questions. He barely looked at her. "We don't allow fraud here," he said, loud enough for others to hear. Mia kept her voice steady. "You can check the cameras." Grant stepped closer. "You think you're clever." Phones began recording. People whispered. Mia felt heat rise in her chest, but she stayed still. "Leave," Grant ordered. "I did nothing wrong," she replied softly. That was when he lost control. His hand moved fast. The slap echoed across the marble floor. The mall went silent. Mia did not cry. She did not argue. She reached for her phone and typed one word. "Boundary." Mia pressed send. The word left her phone and disappeared. Grant laughed. "You think texting someone will fix this?" he asked. Mia looked at him, calm and steady. She did not answer. Security stood on both sides of her. People were still recording. Some whispered. Others pretended not to stare. Grant turned to the crowd. "There is nothing to see," he said. "Move along." But something strange was already happening. Above them, one of the digital screens flickered. Then another. The lights dimmed for half a second before coming back on. Dorian Kells, the security supervisor, touched his earpiece. "Control room," he said. Only static answered him. He frowned and tried again. Nothing. In the security office upstairs, 3 monitors went black at the same time. A red notification flashed across the system. External access request. The technician stared at it in confusion. "That's not possible," he muttered. Back in the atrium, Grant grew impatient. "Escort her out," he ordered. As security stepped closer, Mia slipped her phone back into her bag. Her face showed no fear. Only patience. 3 states away, in a quiet office with a view of the river, a secure device lit up on a dark desk. One word appeared on the screen. Boundary. A woman looked at it and slowly stood up. The woman in the riverfront office did not rush. She stood slowly and closed the file in front of her. Around her, 2 senior executives were still speaking about numbers and projections. They stopped when they noticed her silence. Reschedule the rest of today, she said calmly. Her assistant nodded at once. No one asked why. The secure device remained on her desk. The word on the screen had not changed. Boundary. She picked up her phone and made a short call. I want full visibility, she said. That was all. She ended the call and looked out at the water. Her face showed no anger. Only focus. Back at Halcyon Crest Mall, the system glitch grew worse. The security office could not access certain camera feeds. Administrative permissions were being reviewed from outside the building. Who is requesting this? The technician asked. I don't know, another replied. Dorian Kells felt sweat gather at his neck. Grant Haverson still stood tall in the atrium. To him, this was a small problem, a minor disturbance, a shopper who crossed the line. He turned back to Mia. You've made this worse, he said. Mia met his eyes. You're sure about that? She asked quietly. For the first time, Grant felt something shift. Above them, in the private management suite, an alert appeared on the chairman's secure screen. Priority review. Triggered from outside ownership. He stared at it and reached for his phone. Everett Crown, chairman of Halcyon Crest Mall, rarely felt uneasy. He had built his career on control. But the alert on his screen did not look normal. Ownership access under review. That request did not come from inside the mall. It came from outside the corporate network. He pressed a secure line. Legal team, now. Downstairs, technicians tried to override the system. Access denied. Permissions locked. One by one, certain executive privileges were paused. Not removed. Paused. That was worse. Grant noticed nothing. He stood in the atrium with forced confidence. Last warning, he told Mia. You're leaving. Mia did not move. People were still watching, some whispering, some filming. Dorian walked back toward Grant. Sir, we may have a situation, he said quietly. What kind of situation? Grant snapped. System review, external. Grant rolled his eyes. This is a mall, not the Pentagon. Upstairs, Everett listened as legal staff explained what they were seeing. A silent partner had requested an internal compliance review. Not a minor investor. A controlling structure. Everett felt his stomach tighten. Trace it, he ordered. Moments later, a name of a holding company appeared on his screen. He stared at it. He had seen it before, but never this close. And suddenly, he understood this was not about a price tag. Grant Haverson believed in authority. He had managed Halcyon Crest Mall for 6 years without serious trouble. Complaints came and went. Influential customers threatened lawsuits before. Nothing ever lasted. This would be the same. He stepped closer to Mia. You've embarrassed yourself enough, he said. Security will walk you out. Mia's voice stayed calm. You're certain that's wise? Grant smiled. I am the authority here. Upstairs, Everett Crown did not share that confidence. The legal team had traced the silent holding company through layers of ownership. It led to a private investment group known for strict compliance standards. Not loud. Not public. But powerful. Why are they activating reviews? Everett asked. No formal complaint has been filed, a lawyer said. This is internal. Everett's screen updated again. A second notice appeared. Federal audit, request pending confirmation. His heart pounded. He picked up his private phone and called Grant. Grant answered on the third ring. What is it? He asked, irritated. Who did you confront in the atrium? Everett demanded. A shoplifter, Grant replied. Name? Grant looked at Mia. She stood still, watching him. He realized he had never asked. He covered the phone. Your name, he said sharply. Mia studied him for a moment. Then she answered softly. Mia. Grant returned to the call. "Just Mia," he said. Upstairs, Everett closed his eyes. That was the problem. The car arrived without noise. Black, clean, unmarked. It stopped near the side entrance of the mall. Dorian noticed it first. "Sir," he said quietly to Grant, "someone just pulled up." Grant waved him off. "I'm busy." Mia looked toward the glass doors. She did not smile. She did not look relieved. She simply walked forward. Security hesitated, unsure whether to stop her. Grant grabbed her arm lightly. "You're not leaving until this is sorted," he said. Mia slowly removed his hand. "I am leaving," she replied. The glass doors opened. A driver stepped out and held the rear door. Mia entered the car without looking back. Grant felt anger rise in his chest. "Get the plate number," he ordered. But the vehicle did not carry public registration. Inside the car, silence filled the space. Mia stared ahead. Her phone buzzed once. A message. "Are you hurt?" She typed back, "No." A pause. Then another message appeared. "Come home." Mia hesitated before replying. "I didn't want to use it." 3 dots appeared. Then it disappeared. Finally, one sentence came through. "You do not choose when respect matters." Mia leaned back in her seat. She had tried to live quietly, to build her own path. But today something changed. And back at the mall, Grant's phone rang again. This time, it was not Everett. It was someone from Washington. Grant stared at his phone before answering. The number was unfamiliar. Washington, D.C. He stepped away from the crowd and answered with forced calm. "Grant Havorson speaking." The voice on the other end was direct. "This is the Office of Corporate Compliance. We need to confirm your position at Halcyon Crest Mall." Grant blinked. "My position?" "Yes, we are reviewing ownership compliance and executive conduct. You will remain available." The line went dead. Grant felt heat crawl up his neck. He turned toward Dorian. "Someone is overreacting," he muttered. Upstairs, Everett was no longer seated. The legal team had gathered around his screen. The federal audit request was no longer pending. It had been accepted. "Who triggered this?" Everett demanded. The lawyer swallowed. "The request came through a private compliance authority. They have the legal right." Everett knew what that meant. Only a controlling structure could do that. Back in the atrium, shoppers were whispering louder now. Several stores had paused transactions. Some point-of-sale systems were under review. Grant's confidence began to crack. He tried calling one of his political contacts. Voicemail. He tried another. No answer. Dorian approached carefully. "Sir, certain executive permissions are being suspended." Grant stared at him. "Suspended?" "Yes, starting with yours." At that exact moment, his access badge buzzed red. Access denied. Grant looked up at the marble ceiling. For the first time, he understood. This was not random. The private elevator opened without sound. Most shoppers never knew it existed. It was reserved for ownership and high-level partners. Dorian noticed it first. He straightened immediately. Grant did not. He was still arguing on his phone, trying to reach someone who would answer. The elevator doors slid apart. A woman stepped out. She wore a dark tailored coat, no heavy jewelry, no visible security around her. But the atmosphere shifted. Employees near the corridor lowered their voices. Some stepped aside without being asked. She walked forward with steady grace. Not hurried. Not angry. Just certain. Dorian recognized her at once. His face was drained of color. Grant finally turned. "Ma'am, this area is restricted." Dorian grabbed his arm. "Sir," he whispered urgently. Grant looked annoyed. Who is this? The woman stopped a few feet away. Her eyes moved from Grant to the atrium beyond him. Then back to Grant. You've had a busy afternoon, she said softly. Grant tried to recover his authority. If you have business here, you'll need to schedule. Schedule, she repeated calmly. Her voice did not rise, but it carried weight. Everett Crown hurried down the hallway toward them. He did not greet Grant. He went straight to the woman. Mrs. Vailcrest, he said quietly. Grant froze. The name echoed in his mind. Vailcrest. The woman looked at him fully now. And for the first time, Grant understood exactly who Mia was. Grant's mouth felt dry. Vailcrest, he repeated almost to himself. Morris Vailcrest did not answer him directly. Instead, she looked at Everett. Have you completed the compliance trace? She asked. Everett nodded quickly. Yes, ma'am. Grant stepped back. What is going on? He demanded. Morris finally faced him. You manage a property, she said calmly. You do not own it. Grant tried to regain control. I have full executive authority. For now, Morris replied. Everett cleared his throat. Halcyon Crest Mall operates under layered holdings. The controlling interest is managed through Vailcrest Capital. Grant stared. That's not public. It was never meant to be, Morris said. Silence settled around them. Dorian looked down at the floor. Grant felt anger mixed with fear. If this is about that girl. My daughter, Morris corrected softly. The words struck harder than the slap had. Grant swallowed. She was suspected of fraud. Morris tilted her head slightly. Was she? Her calm unsettled him more than rage would have. Security footage has been reviewed, Everett added. There was no tag switch. Grant's breathing grew shallow. This is an overreaction. Morris stepped closer. This is not about reaction, she said. It is about structure. Grant felt the world shift under his feet. Your executive privileges have been suspended, Everett said quietly. Grant's badge buzzed again. Red. Morris looked at him one last time. This afternoon revealed weaknesses, she said. Grant realized. The slap was not the real problem. Something larger had just begun. Grant tried to steady his voice. This is personal, he said. You're abusing influence. Morris did not react to the accusation. Everett spoke instead. The federal compliance review has begun. We are obligated to cooperate. Grant felt heat rise in his face. For what? He demanded. Over a misunderstanding. Morris folded her hands in front of her. The misunderstanding, she said quietly, only revealed what was already fragile. Grant frowned. What does that mean? Everett opened a file on his tablet. Internal audit shows irregularities in vendor contracts, he explained. Security billing discrepancies, insurance exposure. Grant shook his head. That's routine. Not at this level, Everett replied. Dorian stepped back, realizing this was no longer about the atrium. It was about records. Numbers. Authority. Grant tried calling his legal contact again. This time, the call connected. But the voice on the other end sounded distant. We've been advised not to intervene, the lawyer said. There are larger parties involved. Grant's chest tightened. He looked at Morris. You're destroying a career. She met his eyes. No, she said softly. You weaken it yourself. A staff member hurried down the hallway. Sir, she told Everett, bank compliance has frozen executive expense accounts pending review. Grant felt his phone buzz. Notification after notification. Access denied. The card declined. System suspended. Morris turned toward the elevator. This building will continue operating, she said, with stronger oversight. Grant stood frozen. Because outside the mall, two unmarked federal vehicles had just arrived. Mia stood in the quiet living room of the Valecrest residence. Floor-to-ceiling windows looked out over the river. The city lights were beginning to glow. She heard the door open. Morris entered without hurry. They looked at each other for a moment. No embrace. No dramatic words. "You are not hurt?" Morris asked. "No," Mia replied. Silence settled between them. Mia finally spoke. "I could have handled it." Morris studied her. Handled what? The accusation, the embarrassment. Morris walked to the window. "You handled yourself well," she said. "You stayed calm." Mia folded her arms. "I didn't want to use the protocol." "You did not use it lightly," Morris answered. Mia's voice softened. "I wanted to build something on my own, without this." Morris turned slowly. "This is not a weapon," she said. "It is protection." "It feels like control," Mia replied. Morris did not argue. "Power," she said quietly, "is not loud. It is a quiet structure. It exists whether you use it or not." Mia looked down. "I didn't think it would go this far." Morris stepped closer. "It did not go far," she said. "It revealed what was already unstable." Mia lifted her eyes. "Was this about the slap?" she asked. Morris held her gaze. "It was about weakness," she said. And in that moment, Mia realized this had never been only about her. By morning, the news had spread quietly. Not through loud headlines. Through official statements. Halcyon Crest Mall released a brief notice. Executive leadership is under internal review. Grant Haverson's name was not listed. Inside the building, his office was locked. Access badge disabled. Email account suspended. Dorian Kells had been reassigned pending compliance review. The federal vehicles remained outside. Employees moved carefully. Shoppers whispered. Grant sat in his car across the street. His phone would not stop vibrating. Friends asking questions. Colleagues distancing themselves. One message stood out. "We cannot be associated with this." Grant gripped the steering wheel. He had not been charged. Not arrested. Not publicly accused of a crime. But he had already been erased. Inside the Valecrest residence, Morris read the official notice. Mia stood beside her. "You could have ruined him completely," Mia said quietly. Morris did not look up. "He ruined himself," she replied. Mia hesitated. "Will there be charges?" "That depends on what the audit finds," Morris said. Her tone remained even. Calm. Measured. Mia studied her mother carefully. "You planned this," she said softly. Morris closed the folder in her hands. "I prepared for instability," she corrected. Mia felt a chill. Because she realized something unsettling. The slap had only triggered the response. But the response... I had already been waiting. Mia sat across from her mother in the study. Sunlight touched the shelves filled with leather-bound files. "You were already watching them all," Mia said. Morris did not deny it. "Yes," she answered. "For how long?" "Long enough to notice patterns." Mia leaned back slowly. "So this was not only about me." Morris folded her hands. "Your experience revealed timing," she said, "not cause." Mia absorbed that. "You suspected weakness," she said. "I confirm weakness," Morris replied calmly. She opened a file and slid it across the desk. Vendor contracts. Security expenses. Insurance coverage gaps. All signed under Grant's oversight. "He cut corners," Morris said, "and relied on arrogance." Mia looked through the pages. "He seemed confident." "Confidence without discipline is exposure," Morris replied. Mia closed the file. "Did you know he would fail?" Morris paused. "No," she said, "but I knew the structure would." Mia studied her carefully. Was I being tested? She asked. Morris met her gaze. You were being protected. The answer felt both honest and incomplete. Mia stood slowly. I don't want to live waiting for someone to cross a line. Morris nodded once. Then build something strong enough that no one tries. Mia walked toward the window. Outside, the city moved normally. But across town, Grant had just received an official letter. Grant opened the letter with shaking hands. It was formal. Direct. Notice of investigation. The language was careful. No accusations. Only review. He read it twice. Then a third time. He tried calling his lawyer again. This time, the lawyer answered. You need to prepare, the voice said quietly. For what? Grant asked. For scrutiny, financial and administrative. Grant paced inside his living room. This is political, he said. I have connections. There was a long pause on the line. Those connections are distancing, the lawyer replied. Grant stopped walking. What does that mean? It means no one wants to stand between a federal review and a controlling interest. Grant swallowed. You mean Vailcrest? The lawyer did not answer directly. You should consider your options. The call ended. Grant sat down slowly. His phone buzzed again. A message from the bank. Executive credit privileges suspended pending review. Another from the mall board. Temporary removal from duties. He stared at the screen. It felt unreal. Just yesterday, he controlled one of the most powerful retail properties in the city. Now the doors were closing quietly. No shouting. No public attack. Just distance. Grant looked at his reflection in the dark screen of his phone. He had believed he was untouchable. But somewhere across the city, Morris Vailcrest was making another call. Halcyon Crest Mall reopened the next week. The lights were brighter. Security moved differently. Employees spoke in lower tones. A new statement was released. Leadership restructuring completed. Ownership oversight strengthened. Grant's name was no longer part of the structure. His office had been cleared. His parking access was removed. His influence erased. Inside the boardroom, Everett Crown stood as documents were signed. The controlling structure had been adjusted. One name appeared clearly on the updated registry. Mia Vailcrest. Not as a figurehead. As a direct stakeholder. She sat at the far end of the table. Composed. Watching. Morris stood beside her, silent. You'll attend quarterly meetings, Morris said quietly. Mia nodded. I didn't ask for this, she said. You earned awareness, Morris replied. Mia looked at the documents. This feels permanent. It is, Morris said. Silence filled the room. Everett cleared his throat. With this restructuring, compliance risk is reduced. Morris gave a small nod. The board understood. The lesson was not loud. It was structural. Mia closed the folder in front of her. She turned to her mother. Is it finished? She asked. Morris looked at the skyline through the glass wall. For him, she said softly. Then she added, for us, it has just begun. The boardroom slowly emptied. Executives left in silence. Documents were filed. Signatures recorded. The new structure was official. Mia remained seated. She watched the city from the tall windows. So this is how power works, she said quietly. Morris stood beside her. This is how it survives, she corrected. Mia turned toward her mother. I didn't feel powerful in that mall. You were not meant to, Morris said. Power is not for display. Mia thought about the slap. The crowd. The cameras. I wanted to prove I could handle it alone. Morris looked at her carefully. Independence does not mean isolation. Mia held her mother's gaze. And if I never sent the message? Morris did not hesitate. The structure would still exist, she said, but weakness would remain hidden. Mia understood then. This had not been revenge. It has been corrected. Not emotional. Structural. Across the city, Grant packed the last of his belongings from his office. He had not been arrested, but investigations continued. Doors stayed closed. Reputation mattered more than noise. Back in the boardroom, Morris placed a hand lightly on Mia's shoulder. Respect is quiet, she said, but disrespect is expensive. Mia nodded slowly. She was no longer just a young woman in a mall. She was part of something larger. And somewhere, in another building across the city, a different manager was learning the same lesson. Not every powerful person looks powerful. Some walk quietly. Some dress simply. Some speak softly. And some carry influence without ever showing it. What happened at Halcyon Crest Mall was not just about a slap. It was about assumption. It was about arrogance. Grant believed authority meant control. He believed position meant superiority. He judged before he understood. And he acted before he asked. The cost was not high. There were no shouting matches. No public fights. Just consequences. Careers can end quietly. Reputations can fade silently. Access can disappear overnight. All because someone chose pride over respect. Mia did not demand power. She did not raise her voice. She did not threaten anyone. But she understood something important. Respect should not depend on status. You never truly know who someone is. You never know the structure behind them. And sometimes, the person you look down on today may be connected to something far greater than you imagine. So before you judge, before you humiliate, before you assume, remember this. Power is often silent, but consequences rarely are. If you were in Mia's position, would you have walked away quietly? Or would you have sent the message? Let me know in the comments.